Hey guys, this is Bluffmunkey for Sonic Academy, and in today's video, our top tip is going to be how you use these bad boys in conjunction with all these bad boys. And what I really mean by that is how you interface between your mind and your music. And that sounds quite poncy, but I'm quite a fan of hardware synths, and I've got some over here and some over there. The reality is they don't make a great deal of difference in terms of what you hear in a finished mix, but there is a process involved in using these hardware synths that I enjoy more usually than using software. And what I found was over the years I discovered that my Achilles heel is mixing. I don't enjoy mixing. It's not a part of the music making process that appeals to me at all, and I had to find a way that made it more enjoyable for me to do. And ultimately I found out that was being able to use my hands more away from the keyboard and mouse. So we're going to have a look at some of the options today. There's stuff like I bought this for my son. This is a little Ableton Live controller if you use Ableton Live, but it just means that you can use stabby fingers and knobs instead of being stuck with a mouse and keyboard. Heavy stuff like Ableton Push, which you all know about, but this is expensive and this is specific really to Ableton Live, so it's not always an option. So we're going to have a look at some of the gear behind me, which I'm in the way of at the moment, and see how I've got that integrated with my workflow. So let's go. Hello. Okay, so this is pretty much how I use my setup now, and something else I'd like to just quickly mention is pick the right mouse for you. I use the Apple keyboard simply because it's the most functional in terms of actually working with the Mac. I've got some third-party Mac keyboards as well, but they just don't work as well. They disconnect all the time. I dislike the feel of the keyboard, but because it works, I stick with it. The mouse I use, I hate the Apple mouse. I think it's hideous. So I use this MX, this disgusting MX Master, needs a clean, just because it suits my hand and it's wireless. But in terms of control, I use the fader port here and console 1, and it's split basically into two functions. This is transport control, and there's some mixed functions in there like a fader, solo, mute, and some panning. And the console 1 here is, think of it like a channel strip. So you've got EQ, compression, dynamics, that kind of thing. This has also got some drive modeling, and the console 1 has software in the background. So these are basically just MIDI controllers, but it's the MIDI control, it's the hands-on control that I'm kind of yearning for. So just to run through things very quickly, this isn't going to be a full tutorial. It's just more about workflow. I've got two channels set up in Ableton Live, and having a quick look at the fader port, I can use these previous and next buttons to scroll between the channels on this screen here. And also it's going to respond to my fader control. So as you can see, as I'm changing the fader on channel 2, it's changing the volume on channel 2 as well. And if I flick between them, it's a motorized fader. So the fader is going to jump to where it needs to be. I can also do transport control. I'm not sure how loud this is going to be. So switching to channel 2, I can solo that out. I can pan it, etc. Although because it's a stereo file, it's more balanced than pan. But the main thing for me was the console 1. So what you can do with it is it's mimic. It actually shows you how many channels you've got set up in Ableton Live. So I've got 1, 2. 1 is highlighted because it's currently looking at channel 1. But if I select channel 2 and then press the display button, I get this massive overlay. What it allows me to do is, let's just make sure we've got channel 2 selected in Ableton Live. Let's play this. So we've got channel 2 soloed. Just bring the volume down a bit. Then I'm going to come over to console 1, and what I can do is I can reach out. Ooh. Try that again. reach out and change the EQ without staring at the screen. Because what I find is using the keyboard and mouse, it's fine for loads of things. It's fine for lots of things. It's a great interface. But when I'm mixing, you tend to strike this pose, like the flycatcher, and you get closer and closer to the screen. I mean, my ideal mix position, moving the microphone out of the way, where my speakers are here, I should really be sitting back here. But you can't really do that when you're mixing, because you end up looking at span or something like that, or a readout, and you get closer and closer and closer and closer. And you tend to lose focus on your ears. You focus more on your eyes, or at least I do. So having these hands-on controls means that my decision making, I could even do this. You know, I can EQ looking up at the ceiling. It might seem like a small thing, but I know my ears don't work as well when I'm staring at something. So I don't even have to look at the screen to mix. So I can go onto channel 2. I can turn the EQ. Let's go to channel 1 actually. Let's solo this. Right, so I can turn the EQ on. I'm still not looking at the screen, and I can choose a low shelf. Beef up the bass, and I'll turn the display on so you can see what I'm doing. Can you still hear me? I mean, I probably wouldn't do that in a mix, but I can do. And that's really it. This tip is about finding the way that you can interface with your music without doing this. And that was a killer for me, is that staring at the screen and becoming a hunchback, a mix hunchback. So there's lots of options out there. These two, they're not massively expensive. There's other options out there that are a little bit cheaper. There's a lot more expensive ones as well. So try and figure out what it is that you're not enjoying in the process of making music, and see if there's a solution out there for you. And again, even down to things like choosing the right mouse and keyboard can make a difference, or the right MIDI controller. So I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.